Okay, well, welcome everybody to another Advocate Action meeting. I will be your host, moderator, talker today. My name is Chris Peterson. I'm engagement manager with DarkSky International. If we haven't met before, we also have a few other members of staff on the call. Should you need any support, have any questions as we truck along here. Before we do get started, I'm just going to go over a little bit of housekeeping. And then we'll get into our presentation with updates from DarkSky staff. So welcome again. If you are joining for the first time or for the 100th time, please do let us know where you're calling in from in the chat. Great way to get to know people and see really the global mission at work. As we go through today, we welcome your questions. There's a Q&A portion, typically at the bottom of your screen. You might have to click on the three dots to see that. Please do submit your questions. Because of the dynamic level of conversation we'll be having today, I can take questions pretty much live if I see it as we're going along. Otherwise, we'll address that at the end during the Q&A portion of our event. If you need captions or translated captions as we go along, that option is available down at the bottom of your screen. And then we also want you to stay on after our main topic. So we'll go for about an hour here. And then for the last 30 minutes at the top of the hour, we'll have networking time. So everybody come on camera, come off mute. We'll open up some breakout rooms and we can get to know each other. And we also want you to stay in touch with us. Please do reach out if we can be any level of support towards your advocacy within the DarkSky movement. If you're not sure what to do, I'm just looking around the room here. I see some success stories. I'm looking at Greg and, Dina, you've been reaching out and organizing things. And it's just so wonderful to see. Our job, myself and Callie's on the call as well, we get to talk to you amazing folks every single day. And so we hear a lot about what's going on, what are your struggles, and we're creating programs and processes to help remove those blockers for you. So get in contact with us. We can help bridge you to folks in your area, to different resources, materials, toolkits, anything like that. So let me go ahead and share my screen and then we can get started. All right. Hopefully everybody can see the presentation. There we go. So welcome to the DarkSky Advocate Action meeting for December. Again, I'm Chris Peterson. I'll be your host today. And we're going to be talking about updates from DarkSky staff, a DarkSky Wrapped, if you will. So first I wanted to start off, we did welcome quite a few new staff members to our team this year, ranging from Abby Cox, membership manager, myself, Natasha, who is a communications really extraordinaire. If you follow our social medias or read our blog, give a shout out to Drew and Natasha. They're just doing a fantastic thing there. Dane, who's a program associate of our lighting program department. Michael Prinke, whose job title is Learning Program Manager. And then, of course, Callie Blake, our newest engagement associate. And so, Callie, I think I saw you on the call. If you wanted to take a moment and say hey.
Hello, I'm Callie. I'm great to be here and be introduced to all of you. Similar to Chris, I am here to support all the advocates, chapters, and delegates of DarkSky, while also supporting different initiatives and events. So glad to be here.
Thanks, Callie.
Yeah.
And in addition to Betty Maya, Kelly's on our team, and the goal, from engagement is really to support you again. So if you do have any questions, need support, need to figure out someone else to contact, do get in touch with us. We can help make that bridge for you. Back to here, and there we go. So a lot of new dynamic changes to the team, all welcome. I just have to take a pause and say it is so refreshing to work with a team, including folks like Michael Reimer here on the call that, when you're working in a nonprofit, the level of care that people bring to their job, you can tell that these folks are, supportive of the mission, that they're doing their best day in, day out. We're a lean team. Nobody says we're 100 strong on staff levels, but we get a lot done, and it's great to work and brainstorm with a bunch of folks that really share that passion for the mission, and then also bring that level of care, really, to all the programs and everything that you all as advocates can interact with. Of course, we have our Dark Sky Places program. If you're not familiar, the International Dark Sky Places program works to designate, credit, or certify different locations around the world. There's different levels of designation for a dark sky place, ranging from reserve, urban night sky, or urban place, etc. All inclusive, there's over 230 places around the world. That represents 33 countries and territories and 6 continents, totaling over, and I know that's an old metric, 176,000 square kilometers protected of land and night sky. Some of the new places are there. We'll also post a link in the chat if you wanted to learn more. And an important call out that the Dark Sky Place map is live on our website once again. It has been for some time, but I just wanted to make sure to call that out, make sure you're aware. So you can browse the different locations around the world, plan your next vacation, find a contact about a park in your area, anything like that. Michael and Amber manage that program and really just do a fantastic job. I do want to add as well, there's some good information found if you're looking to start a dark sky place designation in your backyard. Read through our website, some of the links that we'll be able to share. The application process is very informative and straightforward and gives you that program to come through with the park, to create that lighting plan, to do those surveys, and really put a plan in place that will sustain for the future. We're not just handing out certifications. Michael and Amber do a great job of interviewing, like reading through these types of things, and preserving our night sky. In addition to our International Dark Sky Places programs, there's a few other what we like to call programs or areas of focus that Dark Sky focuses on. This ranges from our Dark Sky Approved Lighting Program, Dark Sky Certification. So there's for luminaires, which is your actual lighting models, which James, our lighting program manager, was happy to report we processed more submissions from manufacturers this year than any other year. As you know, as you've seen everybody in your advocacy, dark sky is trending, and it's even trending with the lighting designers and manufacturers. They're reaching out to us. They're getting engaged. They know we expect better of them. They know we expect that they put together high level, quality lighting, and it's great to see a lot more people turning our way. There's other levels of certification, including some controls, signage, and even some luminescent products, so things like glow in the dark. And in addition to that, we have some other programs about dark sky approved lodging, which has a few new applications and more approvals coming in the next year. An outdoor sports lighting program. If you could believe it, an outdoor sports lighting complex can be dark sky friendly. And so by the end of the year, we'll have 20 sites certified and approved by then. And our dark sky approved sea turtle sensitive lighting, which is just a great kick out from those regular programs. Again, all of this information can be found on our website. If you're looking to shop, if you have a contact that's looking for lighting for a large scale project, start with us. If you're looking for a product, look for that seal of approval as well that's shown on our website. That's how you know that these things are being reviewed by Dark Sky, that these items are approved, are certified, and that means there is a process behind it. We're not, again, just throwing out recommendations to you folks. We understand that this means a sustainable lighting practice, something that will continue on. Uh-oh, sorry about that. Let me go ahead and reshare. There we go. Another exciting update to this year was the DarkSky Recognized program, which directly relates to the lighting policy and ordinance templates designed by DarkSky. So this is an initiative to certify outdoor lighting ordinance and statutes that align with the DarkSky mission. These can be ordinances implemented to municipalities, states, regions that do enact effective outdoor lighting policies to reduce light pollution. Part of this program, it also provides the tools, resources, and recognition to support advocates in your work. If you click onto our page, there's a lot of information, again, to find, and even some videos that Michael Prinke, our leading program manager, has designed and has rolled out to be supportive of the types of conversations that you'll be having. So, for example, you're talking to a city council person or a decision maker or a person that owns a lot of lights, right? These are the types of conversations, some of the definitions like CCT, which is correlated color temperature, talks through the 5 principles of responsible outdoor lighting at night, and really will provide you that toolkit to go and have those smart conversations. Really, when we think of how different regions, municipalities may enact a dark sky ordinance, it's through education. It's really we're helping them do their job. This does provide a turnkey solution that a lot of places can enact very easily to update or create new ineffective outdoor lighting policy. You know, why this matters might be pretty obvious to this group, but worth reiterating. This protects the night sky and reduces harmful effects of light pollution. This promotes energy efficiency, ecological preservation, and better visibility. If you think about the way we see at night, if you think about the aging eye and the way light affects cones as we age, these policies can also be a method of pride and positive attention to a community. Something that I've noticed having conversations in my region is that when there's a new town or municipality that we approach and we reference, hey, your neighbor is already doing this, or hey, these folks down the road enacted a dark sky policy without our implementation, people kind of get that FOMO, that fear of missing out, and they will be more receptive to that because they feel like they're kind of behind the curve. Some of the key features of the program are the templates and guidelines. So there's multiple PDFs that are ready to use municipal and legislation templates that you can use and provide to your policymakers. There's also a process to submit policies back for feedback or certification once those are implemented at your local level. And then again, the training videos, user guides on responsible outdoor lighting. So you can do more than just showing up with a piece of paper. You can provide them a conversation, provide them more information that will help them really do their jobs. I've noticed when talking to city planners, city council people, they love the templates and they love the studies. We have to help them do their jobs so they will in turn support this type of initiative. To get involved, sign up on the website. There's a terms of use agreement that will provide you the drafts to these templates and the materials. They are able to be customized, but we really do want people to know that these are relevant, aligned, turnkey applications. You know, depending on the municipality, there may be specifics that you need to work with, such as if you have shoreline, if there was a previous lighting plan or zone enacted, there may be a little research to do. Our staff is available to help you with this conversation, with that review. And so I know James's email is available for direct contact about that. And then really, you know, it's the start of a conversation. If you're wondering about how to enact dark sky lighting ordinances in your region, start with a conversation. Start by asking those questions to your local officials. Who manages the light? Do we have a lighting plan? Who owns that parking lot, right? You'd be surprised at the number of conversations that might need to happen. Part of the conversation is of course implementing the policy or the ordinance. The other part is enforcement. And so these solutions that DarkSky has create an entry level way for towns, municipalities, or communities to um, you know, use these types of templates and then get a leg up that these are DarkSky friendly. And again, creating that sense of pride. So for more information, please do visit the DarkSky website. There's more information about the application process and any relevant fees. Right off the bat, wanted to give another shout out to our communications team. If you're not already subscribed, but I know you are because you're here, let us know. Join the advocate community if you haven't already, and feel free to repost, tag DarkSky, and use our content for your local efforts. All the things that Drew and Natasha are creating can be reposted. And if you're doing something, you're having an event, you're doing a collaboration with someone, do tag us. I know our social team loves to repost to show off advocate highlights. We also use, the stories that you all submit either in our Slack community or otherwise by capturing it in things like Nightscape, our quarterly publication. And there's other advocate highlights that come out throughout the year. So keep us in the know. I know I love to hear about what's going on and to hear about the successes and even the struggles, because again, we're talking to a lot of people every day. We can help maybe bridge some of those gaps for you. Advocacy by the numbers. So this is people like you. We have 94 chapters around the world, which is also supportive of our delegates, which is about 130 people. Total advocates, I broke this number down just by how many emails I have, depending on the statistic. It's a little bit different, but over 2,800 folks like you around the world committed to working to reduce the impacts of light pollution. And that covers 107 different countries, including the United States. So a truly global mission. What I love, when I talk to folks is everybody like you, everybody on staff here, these are the types of folks that give a hoot. We're committed to making the world, even if it's our just small corner, a little bit better of a place. And so it's really nice to see these numbers grow year over year and month over month, and everything that you're doing by increasing public awareness, working on policy. This helps to broaden the message. Some people still are unaware of light pollution. So every single person we can add in and amplify our voices is another conversation that we can kick off and start down the road. In terms of engagement, I wanted to let everybody know that the annual report window is now live for all of our chapters and delegates. This is a requirement to maintain your status. And if you are missing that link, we can send it out to you. We're also encouraging advocate submissions for this year because even if you're not involved in a chapter or as a delegate, your metrics, your outreach is important. These are the types of data that we use when we have, are filling out for a grant, or these are our total numbers. We also look to these pieces of feedback to create improvements, to understand, again, that shared blocker, to look for what information you would need. I know just a few people have already submitted their 24 report, and I'm already learning a lot. And we've already brought some of that conversation in with the larger team about the different systems and types of programs that we could support people like you. International Dark Sky Week is coming up April 21st to the 28th, 2025. Save the date, with proclamation season kicking off soon. If you're not familiar with the proclamation, that's a legislative piece of paper, pretty much, that does not hold policy, but that does provide an entry-level way for your town, government, what have you, to support Dark Sky. This by recognizing and proclaiming Dark Sky Week. This is an entry-level way to provide more public awareness to the cause and then also to engage local media. Local media loves stuff like this. So our goal this year is to do a lot around the proclamations. Personally, I have some larger goals about how many proclamations we can get. I believe in all of you. I bet we can do it. But we also want to support. Again, it's that conversation. And now's the time to start thinking about it. How do I submit a proclamation to my state or province? Is this something my town and HOA might be receptive to? Or I live in the part of the world where proclamation doesn't make sense? How can I get that letter of support from our governance committees? Or how can I reach out to really build upon the fact that we're going to celebrate Dark Sky Week come April? I also encourage you, and we'll be sending out some more communications about local parties for International Dark Sky Week. So if you are planning any events, whether it's your own event, tabling an eco-fest, star parties, online webinars, and then around the world, if you have access to other languages, resources, networks, please start planning. And we'll also be reaching out to some of you about how we can amplify your voice and your message when it comes to International Dark Sky Week. And like Alejandro, I'm going to be contacting you. Let's do something. Let's do something in language and broadcast that to the entire Dark Sky network. So some of those fun things are coming soon. I know the design and everything is underway as well, and it's just shaping up to be awesome. We'll also be relaunching things like the home assessment, and then, of course, the International Dark Sky Week Pledge, which is a really nice way for people to share, get involved with the mission, and take that pledge to support the night. We're also excited to announce that Capture the Dark, our photo contest, is coming back in summer of 2025. Planning is underway there, so stay tuned for more information. And then Under One Sky, our global 24-hour conference, save the date, that is November 7th and 8th next year, and more to come on all of those things. So in terms of growth, the mission is trending, and everybody I talk to week to week, everybody's reporting there's more, outreach to chapters, there's more interest. Our social teams report more followers, so the ecological impacts of our time are more top of mind than ever. Whether we're talking astrotourism, environmental advocacy, these are some of the topics that are trending out in the world. And by being part of the mission, you have a great resource, toolkit, and otherwise materials to start to have a lot more of those conversations. So take advantage of that. Reach out to more people, partners, or other organizations to find supporters of the night if you're missing your tribe. There's a lot of chapters and delegates that are active. So if you do have people in your region, to reach out to them to get aligned. But really, it's exciting to see that. It's a relief to also see that there is a growing shared interest in the protection of the night. And if you're thinking from an ecological standpoint, but also a heritage standpoint, if you think back to communities, societies looking to the stars, even just 100 years ago, and what we've lost through that. I don't need to explain that to all of you, but I bet you will find more partners and more supporters if you get out there. Wanted to take a moment to review what really I have coined the 3 pillars of dark sky advocacy, because it's a great framework for you to help think about and focus in on some of the efforts you may be taking. The 3 pillars are really our public awareness, policy, and partnership. And now a pillar obviously supports preservation, and that can be the Dark Sky Places program, approved programs, or otherwise. By focusing on those 3 different pillars, whether you're getting out, doing events, sharing the cause, that broad public awareness campaign, could be tabling, it could be talking at a nature center, that gets the word out. Some people are still new to the cause of light pollution. They don't understand what we're about. They maybe have an idea of what light pollution means, but they don't understand those effects. That is an important part of the mission, is to share the good news, right? Separately, when we work on policy initiatives, that actually creates that change. You could work with the policymakers, implement a lighting ordinance, um, talk about changes, reference that public awareness, how many people you have in your cause, how many signatures you've received, sharing some of that lessons learned or those questions people are asking with the policymakers. And that works alongside of our partnerships. So think about nature conservancies, libraries, different nonprofit organizations, birding groups, like Audubon. Similarly, there's going to be people in those types of organizations that will support your efforts, or maybe do come and join DarkSky or a local group, right? So by focusing on those three things, I'm not saying do it all, but do one of them or two of them well and split it up amongst your other DarkSky advocates in your area. That type of campaign, public awareness, policy initiative, and working on partnerships will bring all that conversation together. And you'll be able to elevate what you are doing by gleaning from some of the wisdom, some of those lessons learned when you're actually doing that implementation. Again, the point of this is to support preservation, like what Michael and Amber are working on, without preserving the night sky, without designating safe places or sustainable practices. What we're doing is not sustainable. So by supporting also the Dark Sky Place programs approved or any of the other ones, this helps to maintain all that work that we're setting out to do. So again, we're working on public awareness initiatives that could be outreach, education. We're working on policy, actually having those conversations with decision makers or owners of lighting fields, manufacturers, things like that. And then the partnerships, bringing in those partner organizations, those allies in to help with the public awareness or other policy on supportive of the preservation of our night. Looking ahead, at least for next year, from our department's point of view, we're looking at a lot of growth. We see the, like I said before, the everything is trending upwards. So as you could see from the hire of our learning program manager, there will be more learning tools we'll be able to provide with key hires like Callie as well. We're creating more toolkits and instructionals to give to you advocates to help, really your talk, your conversations. And in addition to investment, so you'll see different programs launched, different things that come out that are supportive of what you're up to. Again, that feedback is just so important because it lets us know what you're working on. And when we are in the loop of how you are, moving forward, what you are working on to protect the night, then we can float that up and be informed to the way we develop different types of programs or different initiatives. I did see a question pop up, just some of the editable post or social media images. Alejandro, we can get back to you directly on that, but check out the Slack community for a shared resource. We also have a box folder that we can share the link to that provides some more of that broad information that folks can share. And then we'll go ahead and open it up for questions in just a moment. Yep. So one of the questions was January 30th is the due date for the annual report. It's actually the 31st, close enough. We do expect all of our chapters and delegates to report back to us, even if you just send me an email. It's that feedback loop that's the most important thing for us. It's not necessarily the report structure itself. Great question, Robin. Yep, another question here. So we had some feedback about the Dark Sky Recognized program. We do welcome comments back after you have had time to review. All of that is being forwarded to our programs team. So as you do look through those documents, if you have any sort of questions, please do let us know. Again, this is a turnkey solution. It's not going to be the same for everywhere. But these items are, useful to you. Yeah, Michael.
Thank you, Chris. I just want to hop in on the subject of annual reports for delegates and chapters. We also are taking annual reports for Dark Sky Places. So if you are associated or affiliated in any way with an international dark sky place that was certified before January 1st of 2024, please work on helping those folks fill out those annual reports. I'll put the link here to the website page specific to that for Dark Sky Place reports. Those are also due at January 31st of 2025. So a couple more months. That's all I got, Chris. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael. Good point. I realized I missed that call out. Appreciate you. Actually, while you're actually here, are there any urban specific dark sky programs?
Urban specific,
Yeah,
um, as like related to Dark Sky Places.
correct.
Um, Not that we have necessarily. I mean, there are plenty of urban night sky places that have their own programs, but nothing that we have ourselves.
I guess, yeah, Robert Stencil asked if you wanted to clarify your question. Do you mean a
Sure.
dark sky place designation? Or you can post it back into the chat, Robert.
Yeah, Robert, if I understand your question, there are several urban night sky places in the application process right now. Oh, outreach in urban places.
Try
That
to
may be a question for
clarify,
you, Chris.
Yeah,
to
yeah.
try to clarify, if I may, the bulk of our population currently is in cities where the sky is inaccessible. Um, any thoughts at HQ about addressing that in the long run?
Oh yeah. I mean, I live in a urban area for sure. A lot of my chapter leaders and other folks live here, or outside of Minneapolis as well. We do a lot here in the city, and we find a lot of success through partnership with different organizations. So we go to Pollinator Monarch Festival every year. We have a table. We're expected. It's a full tent type of thing. We'll do different talks at nature centers, dark sky festivals, even here in the city. Different nature centers, for example, they have like a New Year's celebration where we'll go set up a table, talk to folks that are members of that place. It's not to, just because you are in an urban area doesn't mean that a dark sky ordinance or a lighting plan can't be implemented. It's obviously a larger project to take on with a different level of lighting inventory, but part of what you can do is really just start a lot of those conversations. Again, when we're talking to different folks, there's different avenues that relate back to dark sky, whether it's birding, flyways, ecological impacts. A lot of the questions we ask at a table are, when's the last time you've seen a Milky Way? Or when's the last time you had a firefly in your backyard? Some of those more noticeable changes. So really though, it's person to person. And in an
Be
urban,
advised that, be advised that more and more towns will be looking at streetlight conversion to, of course, LEDs and defaulting to very high temperature LEDs. So that's a target of opportunity.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And in terms of education, I always go back to the 5 principles of responsible outdoor lighting at night. And I'm just going to pull that one up because it's such a prime example of not only what the principles that we have for dark sky are, but also the process to follow when it comes to creating a useful, targeted, low level light. I'm just going to share my screen real quick. This is available on our website. This is available to order from our materials page, but the 5 principles of responsible outdoor lighting at night are intended to be a process and a conversation. So first, we approach problems like excessive blue light, poor lighting implemented. If we follow the process of auditing that light, if it's already implemented, is this useful? Is the light used when, is it needed? Is it then targeted? And we can get through that process of creating that conversation around the principles of responsible outdoor lighting. Some folks, I understand warm versus blue. I totally understand that. Here in my city, we have lighting zones implemented. So some of that CCT is called out. But again, in a large urban setting, you're less likely to find those decision makers that are willing to do something, for instance, like Flagstaff did, where it's a blanket policy towards lighting. What we can instead have is bring them through this type of conversation to show this is the methodology to create a better lighting zone. If anybody caught Tom Reinert's opening to Under One Sky, and that's available on our YouTube channel, he talked a lot about, we're not only here to talk about the problem of light solution, but we're here to talk about the different solutions we can bring to the table and the different needs we have for sustainable lighting practices, for smart lighting solutions. The message that we bring to folks shouldn't just be always wagging our fist or wagging our finger at folks, but to say there is a need for this. This is a larger effort of re-beautification of our world and thinking about our impacts to it. That's what's trending. That's why more people are finding information like that. So that's a great question, something we can talk a long time more. I'm going to move on to different questions. I think that's definitely something we could talk about in the networking time in about 20 minutes as well.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi. So I'm just curious because you said, ask the questions to the proper people. I've found it difficult in my town of Ottawa, Canada, to find the proper people. That's gone down the rabbit hole a number of times. I did find a lighting engineer, and we did have a long conversation on the phone. But after that, it tends to fall flat. So one of the things that they mentioned was that they use those guidelines, but I don't know what the current guidelines are right now. He said 5,000 Kelvin for street lighting. I find that I'm very light sensitive. I get migraines. I really miss the days of, I know halide is gone now, but that soft amber glow, I miss that. I'm like a turtle and I want it back. And I don't know, is that just gone for good? And we're just going to bleach the night now with these super white. I know everyone says, well, and I can't see with the dim amber lights. I see better with them. It's much more beautiful to me, especially in wintertime because it glares off the snow, the white. So that was a question. What's the standard currently that DarkSky's advising policymakers to use, and who are the manufacturers of the lighting?
Sure. Yeah, great questions. So again, when it comes to a blanket statement about recommended CCT or another measurement of light, I go back to the 5 principles. Not only should we be talking about the Kelvin, and yes, 5,000 is high. The standard recommendation typically comes to 3,000 and below. But again, you're going to see different recommendations for different types of zones. If you're talking about a trail in a park, just nothing would be useful there, or very low level warm light, right? When I'm driving down one of the main drags here in my city, the city's done a great job. We have that amber lighting, but then you look at one of the health gyms on the hill and they have those scorching bright, probably almost like, I want to say 6,000, looks like sunlight, right?
Yeah.
That are coming down. So it's almost negating all this good work that the city's done. So having one, metric in a lighting plan is dangerous, because then you're also getting to, and I think I saw Stephen Maricon on the line. He made a good point that when you're looking at a lighting ordinance, it's very hard to enforce then if you're having those specifics in there. It's again about the process of how these cities, towns, municipalities are approaching the lighting plans, how they're going to audit the lighting plans, to where not only can we reduce the CCT of some of those lights, but they just don't need to be on, or they can be on timers, right? If you feel the need to have 5,000, then we need to have conversations about cutoff. We need to have conversations about timers or dimmers, right? From those non-core hours. A city manager is sometimes mostly going to be more focused on growth, profitability, selling, land and things like that. So if we have put a hard line in the sand about color temperature, we're going to miss that other part, those other 4 principles of the lighting conversation. Steven, I saw you come on camera. Anything to add?
No, I'm good. But yeah, thanks
Okay,
for
I appreciate you. Yeah, great question, Eva.
Who do you speak to when you need to, because in our town anyway, I never want to see 5,000 Kelvin ever, but those who need it, fine. But it's in the parking lots. There's like 10 all concentrated in one area. They're starting to put floodlights on all of these apartment buildings into the parking lots. They have them on bikes. I was biking the other day and I almost got blinded off the road. So it's like happening everywhere. And yeah, who do you speak to in terms of officials and reach out to? I'm sure it's different in the US, but just curiously.
It's different, yeah, in different parts of the world. So when I did my local campaign in the city I live, I went to a city council meeting first and I introduced myself on the agenda. I stood at the podium. I was awkward and I stumbled with my words and I said, "Hey, I'm Chris. I'm here to talk about light pollution. I don't know which of you I need to talk about it with, but I'd love for somebody to reach out to me." Then I figured, I'm on the record, they have to do something with me. And I got an email from one of my city council people and then the city planner who was also scribing for the meeting. Through those different conversations, the city council person was able to connect me to the development manager. The city planner and I had a Zoom call where I really, myself and our local president, our local chapter president, had a conversation about the basics of light pollution, about what DarkSky is, what we're after. And again, we formulated the conversation to be about education. Since then, I've had different conversations. I've been connected to the person that owns the major malls that we have and all of their parking lots. We had those infamous lights that were bad quality that end up being purple. All of our parking lots were purple here in my
I don't
city.
mind the purple. I think purple, but I hear you.
Yeah, and well, those are LEDs that are malfunctioning.
Yeah.
And it's a specific chip, to my understanding, that was created for those. So that's a good opportunity as well, as like, okay, purple wasn't on my radar before. It's not great. Now, okay, I'm guessing you're going to start to implement new lighting. Again, here's our resource of lighting manufacturers. That's a whole separate process of buying and supply chain and purchasing departments, but it's person to person. And the better you can connect with the person, the better they're going to listen to you. If we come at people with, vigor and aggressive, pointing our finger saying you're doing a bad job, they're going to be less receptive than if we come to them with that solution, that there is a photosensitive population. There are people with aging eyes that you're creating it difficult to drive around or get around at night. There's different impacts, the safety, the heritage. I really recommend reading the State of Science report to get that full breadth of the mission and all the different impacts that has been studied to relate to light pollution and DarkSky's mission.
Where is that report?
Callie will put it in the chat momentarily. It's on our website. It's called State of Science 2024. It's created by DarkSky and Dr. John Barentine. But
I don't want to commandeer you, but what was the response from the mall owners? That's where it's the worst usually in Canada.
Yeah, they're receptive. They took the information in. They let me know that they weren't planning to make any purchases in this calendar year and that we were going to talk in 25 about approved lighting. When you're working with a private company, it's important that their purchasing department is aware or has signed on a different supplier. So you may need to help them in some of that regard, is to find a DarkSky approved manufacturer to buy then those lights from. But again, the education, they flowed that down to some of their staff. So the awareness level is done. Now, when we're going to continue that conversation, we can push it towards that implementation aspect. But right now it was that broad awareness that we focused on. Some people reference light pollution as a 100-year campaign. I don't want to believe that, but it's the type of messaging that we need to have, that full multifaceted conversation to every person almost to drive to those solutions. So I do want to take a little pause, get to some of the other questions. Let's see. Greg has a question from DarkSky Vermont. What are the current main sources of financial support for DarkSky International individuals, corporations? So all of our financials actually are listed on our website. If you scroll down to the bottom of darksky.org, there's a financials tab. You can take a look at the different forms. I'm not exactly sure of how the percentages are laid out in terms of individual or corporations, but I do know that we have a very smart board that has put money in strategic places and has vested the organization for a number of years. So they are good stewards of those gifts. I don't want to throw out any random metrics that I'm thinking because I'm not exactly sure, but we can follow back up with our development manager, Abby Cox, to double check on those stats. And Greg, I know where to find you. I can reach out directly. See another question.
I have a question. I'm not sure if it's a question or a comment, but I'm just curious about, like, for the DarkSky certified luminaires, say, right? When you go to Home Depot, you get a fully shielded luminaire. Is there any guidance, like, to the manufacturer or to the consumer of the light, like on like what size light bulbs to put in? Because I can imagine like some people buy these fully shielded luminaires, it says DarkSky approved, but then they put like a light bulb that might like pop below the shield or maybe high color temperature. I don't know, I'm just curious about that.
Yeah. That's a great question. I don't know if anybody on the call knows.
I can't speak for certain on that, Chris, but I think a lot of the luminaires that we approve, the lighting element is affixed to the fixture itself. I don't think it's anything that we have will allow for such a design for we'd have to verify that with our manager James of that program, but I'm pretty sure all the elements to ensure that full cutoff being a huge quality that we look for in those types of lights are in fact a part of the fixture overall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is Dawn. Any kind of thing where you can adjust it and make it not dark sky friendly isn't certified, because like even if you have a fully shielded Cobra light, but it has a hinge where you can tilt it up and then it's not directed downward, it wouldn't count.
That's exactly right.
This was it. Sorry.
I think this is a very important point, if I may, because the municipality buy DarkSky certified products, and in France they buy products where compatible with the French legislation, which is a very good legislation, and then they put completely wrong bulbs inside. And in my area, not only my street, but all the streets around me, they have fitted the equivalent of DarkSky certified. So it was certifié, arrêté du 28 décembre 2018. That's the legislation. And I made the town change the entire lighting of all the streets around me, because they had put the wrong, it was the wrong intensity and the wrong color temperature. And now that the legislation is, come on, I'd say under cap, they obey the legislation. It's not nice because it's LED, but it's much more enjoyable to walk in the streets. Before, it was just horrible. And the difference it makes is that when you walk in the street, you notice things you had forgotten before. When you walk in the street, you see windows lit up. We had not seen windows lit up because they were hidden by the light of the street. We were blinded. And it's quite nice to see here and there some windows, some life, rather than just, we were able to read the newspaper in the middle of the night in my hometown. And that's not okay.
Right. Agreed. Yeah, there's my assumption, and again, we need to check with James on that, but that if there is an instance of a bulb being able to be screwed into the outlet, that would be recognized in the certification process. And then if it could be tilted and created to unfriendly, that it probably would not be certified. Stephen?
Sorry, I just want to say, because I've noted, the reason I asked, because I've bought like these fixtures like that are ID. It still has the old logo, IDA certified, but like I've put in a bulb and I noticed that the bulb does fall below the fixture.
Gotcha.
So I purposely use smaller bulbs there, but I just wanted to bring it up.
That's fair. I appreciate it. I always appreciate the stress testing that you all do too, towards any sort of program or fixture that we have. That's important. Real world life feedback is very important.
And I have a question, if I may.
Sure.
I bought some bulbs who are supposed to be 2700 Kelvin. And I have an app on my phone which measures the kelvins. And up to now, it was quite, when I measured in the street, it seemed to be quite accurate from the reading on my phone. And in my room, I have one wall painted blue, and my 2700 Kelvin showed 3000 Kelvins. Could the manufacturer be wrong? Or is it my phone which gives me the wrong reading? And how can I know?
I would assume that most phone apps don't give you the absolute best spectral analyses. I think a more like robust and intuitive device that specifically reads those types of measurements is going to be the best bet, but they're not consumer friendly. You know, they're not something that you just get off the shelf. You kind of have to know what you're doing as a professional to kind of warrant getting one of those. So I would take what your phone app tells you with a grain of salt. I think Mike Wiesner, you got an Opal. Is that Opal 4 there, Mike?
Yes, it's a 3. Then there's a 4 out now.
Yeah, there's a 4.
Yeah. So this seems to be pretty accurate. There is an app on the phone, that reads the data that this sensor collects. But this is a piece of hardware that communicates to the phone. But yeah, if you're just using a phone camera app, then that's probably going to have all kinds of issues.
Yeah. Great points. Just a few minutes left of our main session. If anybody does have any other questions, feel free to pop in, or we can transition to networking and keep your questions and conversations going there.
Hi, this is Dina. I had a question about infographics. I typed it in up above in the chat, but it kind of got lost up there. There are infographics, downloadable material that are great. The one of the 5 principles that's kind of missing an infographic is the timed lighting. Is there any way we can get an infographic of that principle?
Sure. I have seen it referenced on some of the versions of the Good, Better, Best, and I actually saw that shared in our Slack community recently. I could try to find that again for you, where it shows the best lighting scenario and it's half on and has the clock next to it, so showing a timer. That might be part of what could be referenced for that. And I don't know if any of the advocates know of a specific infographic that you've seen that might be able to be used in this regard. Well, we can keep you posted, Dina. I know where to find you for that one too. And so we'll close up our official meeting and transition to networking, but I just wanted to leave everybody with one more thought. And really my takeaway is it is so refreshing to be in a room of people that care and the people that want to see betterment to the world. Light pollution is one small aspect of it. Thinking about fossil fuels, there's even noise pollutants that affect people, who are sensitive to the world around us. And the work you're doing is important. It may seem tough. It may seem, hard to combat, especially in an urban area, but the collective, the broad public awareness, the conversations that we have and that you have really do drive the mission, and it will create change. I've seen the change happen. I've seen these success stories come through. At Under One Sky, we had great stories of that shared. If you want to check out any of those recordings, those on our YouTube channel. But again, I really do appreciate you all. I'm so glad to be part of the mission. And with that, I will close out our meeting.